Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. His Excellency Ghalib Rifai, Secretary General of the UNWTO, Mr. Sujain, Director General, Programs for Asia Pacific Region, CEO of Pacific Asia Travel Association, United Nations Resident Coordinator, distinguished experts, industry representatives, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I'm very pleased to welcome you all to Maldives. We are particularly honored that you have chosen our beautiful country to be the host of this year's World Tourism Day event. It is particularly appropriate that we hold this event here this year for two reasons. First of all, because it is the 40th anniversary of tourism development in our country. Also because this year's theme, tourism and water, protecting our common future, is so pertinent to life in the Maldives. As you can all see clearly, Maldives is a fairly big country with very small landmass. We extend over 1,000 kilometers, and yet we have very tiny, very small islands that comprise this country. So our country is mainly water, and we've survived and thrived over years as part of the ocean. We have been traditionally sailors, boat builders, and fishermen. Until 40 years ago, we introduced tourism in this country. And since then, we have raised our development efforts many steps higher as a result of the work that has been done in this industry. We still depend on the seas. Our attraction for this country is largely our beautiful beaches, crystal clear lagoons, very rich marine life. And so we have a responsibility to protect this for the survival of our country. The tourism industry, the government and the people of Maldives, we are doing all we can to preserve and protect these natural gifts for our people. As we celebrate this event in the Maldives, we cannot forget that Maldives is one of the most vulnerable countries to global changes, particularly climate change. Our oceans are at risk. Our islands are at risk. The climate change and global warming effects on Maldives are much more severe than most people imagine. It is also directly linked to the theme for this year's event. I know that the main attention of today's theme is not oceans and lagoons, but rather water, water security, and sustainable futures. But the specific problems that we face in Maldives have to be understood in the context of small island ecology. Our people have lived on these islands for thousands of years in small communities, largely dependent on fresh water from the ground. Our freshwater reserves in the inhabited islands are now in danger. We live on 191 islands now, 113 of which are severely threatened by saltwater intrusion and other forms of contamination. About half of our people today live on desalinated water. About half of the people in this country do not have access to quality drinking water. But the solutions are also here. And the solutions are found in the tourism sector. Over 100 tourist resorts have solved many of the problems that we are facing as a result of climate change and global warming. Most of the inhabited islands today are threatened by coastal erosion. This is also the case for many of the tourist resorts. But because the resorts are following a business model which is seeking practical solutions to the problems it faces, the industry is able to find solutions. The coastal erosion problem is being addressed in Maldives through a whole series of engineering solutions that I think are particularly important and lessons for the rest of the world. Most of the resorts are also threatened by coastal erosion, but they have come up with solutions ranging from very soft engineering solutions to very expensive and complicated solutions. I hope that the industry itself will pay attention to the way Maldives has been able to address this issue. Similarly, with water, most of the resorts are now able to produce their own water and have introduced technologies that are highly efficient and most advanced, up-to-date technologies. But these technologies, both in coastal erosion and water production, are not adequately transferred for the development of local islands. This is where I think tourism industry can play a very important role. Of course, as small islands, we are seeking solutions that will cater to the small-scale communities. And I believe these solutions are found here. Sometimes they are expensive, and therefore we have to also rely on traditional experience. Maldives probably began water harvesting before most other communities. We relied on rainwater for drinking purposes together with groundwater. But this is also no longer a solution. because even rainwater is contaminated and groundwater is contaminated. But a solution that involves tapping these resources along with reverse osmosis and other technologies can come up with integrated solutions for water management in the country that can be both affordable and sustainable. So I hope that the tourism industry will be able to work with government and local communities to find such solutions. Within the tourism industry itself, there is more that can be done, particularly because Maldives is at the forefront of climate change debate. We have taken the initiative to draw attention to climate change and global warming issues in international fora. And if we are to continue with that, we must also become an example of what can be done. Today, water is being flown around the world for tourist hotels and resorts all over. This water contributes to global warming because of the transportation methods. It also contributes to pollution. Much of the water is being bottled and transported in plastic. Tourism industry is trying to address this issue by producing their own water. Many of the resorts in Maldives are currently doing it. Produce their own water and they bottle it in glass bottles. Earlier this year, I, together with Sir Richard Branson, launched a global initiative on hotel water to encourage resorts to produce their own water. That would reduce CO2 emission and also environmental pollution. I hope that all resorts take this seriously and that Maldives can also become an example to the rest of the world in this particular contribution to water through the tourism industry. So I cannot thank you enough for this initiative that tourism industry has taken globally to contribute to global sustainable water development program. Also thank you especially for having this discussion in the Maldives, and I look forward to the deliberations and recommendations coming from the expert group that will be meeting here. I hope that the recommendations will reflect on some of the issues that are particularly acute for small countries like Maldives. I'm also pleased that today we will be launching our new tourism development plan. And for that, I would like to congratulate and thank the Honorable Minister of Tourism and also the staff of the Ministry of Tourism and all those who participated in its development, particularly from the tourism industry. Thank you once again for having this very important event in the Maldives. We are really privileged and really honored. You're most welcome here. And I hope you continue to return as our good friend, the Secretary General, has done so already. I hope you continue to come more often and enjoy Maldives, but also continue to support Maldives tourism and development. Thank you all for being here today. Wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum.